Dua.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so I was trying to explain some of the stuff that we were talking about, and I just want to kind of focus on, let's just talk about something really quickly, because we just had this question maybe 20, 30 minutes ago
Right.
about things like, speaking specifically about like Black women, and
Hmm.
always get questions about hair and skin, and
Yeah.
I hate answering those questions because we talked about how everyone's individual, works for me may not work for you,
Right.
and rather talk about more important things.
Hmm.
But you and I discussed earlier why that is,
Yeah.
why the beauty standards are have been ingrained and so important to Black women in particularly. And so if we can talk about that right now,
Yeah.
that would be really.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, historically, when we look at what has been done to us when it comes to systemic oppression and uh, how we view ourselves, it comes from the corporate lens. It comes from white America, quite statistically. Everything that we view, not everything, but a lot of the pressure of what we view as a beauty standard is not what we should be viewing as a beauty standard, because those standards are not ours. They come from somewhere else. They come from this view of beauty that is not inherent to us. When we look at beauty of an American sense, we're the only place where, when we think of what is American, when you think of American, you think of somebody white. We're the only when it comes to whiteness, in America, it's African American, it's Irish American, it's Italian American, but white is the only one that is just by itself, you know? So that's where the standard is, and that's not where it should be, because beauty is in all different forms. It's like, as our conversation was earlier, your demographic, or I should say, sorry, your background is so different from
Mhm.
mine. So why should we look at my hair and your hair as the same when it's not?
Right.
Because the DNA makeup between you and me is so vast, so we can't claim them to be the same. We can't use the same product. We can use general products, but we can't use the same product. So,
And that's,
it's not the
I was
same.
like, before, I remember a couple of years ago me saying, like, we're not the same. We're
Yeah,
not the same. I don't like to answer
yeah,
questions because we're literally not the same kind of Black.
yes,
And then
yes, exactly.
people taking that, Black people especially, being offended by the,
Right,
we're not the same. And
right.
so much.
And that's the offense. It's the offense, as we talked about earlier, is it's some of it is trauma, some of it is just quite literal, just assimilated oppression. It's something that we just say. It's like, oh, we need to straighten our hair. We need to have these very specific hairstyles because, unfortunately, the Crown Act and whatever have you, those things don't hold when it comes to, you know, real life, unfortunately. So we have to do more. We have to advocate for ourselves to be, unfortunately, seen yet again.
Why do you think um, Black folks in America especially need to see themselves as the same sometimes? Like, if someone deviates from whatever code, the black, like the black cards, right? Like, oh
Yeah, right.
yeah, like what is that? Where, like, why is Drake not Black enough?
So, unfortunately, I'm not very in tune with a lot of the pop culture of today because I haven't really watched any TV. So I haven't been watching much TV. So for me, I can't speak to the whole Drake and Kendrick situation. I've only been hearing snippets of it because for me, it's not important. I have much bigger fish to deal with. So, societal issues are much more vast to me than what's happening with Drake and Kendrick.
But
It's like we're
also,
dealing with societal oppression.
I do want you to take a look at it,
Yeah.
because Kendrick, he's a scholar of his own. He is a
Yes, 100%. I respect him very much
right.
because he does speak truth to power.
Right. So
Yes.
as a Pulitzer
Yeah.
writer, not just
Yeah.
a Pulitzer Prize winning rapper, but a Pulitzer Prize winning
Right. No,
author.
he's a lyricist 100%.
And and also, yeah, I want you to, we should talk about that tomorrow, but I do want you to kind of take a look at what that looks like,
Okay.
because it's been shocking to me,
Hmm.
the what a not just lyricist but linguist,
Yes, no,
and
yes, yes.
how much
Paraphrase, so important.
yes, and how much race
Really? Okay.
being dealt with, which is I
Yeah.
think is really interesting. Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna have to delve into this tonight then. I will we'll have to have a conversation about this because unfortunately I don't know enough about
yeah,
the conflict to really speak about it. So I'll look into it for sure.
yeah. Because what I've learned is to not dismiss things because they seem on the surface to not be about the topic. We talked about this earlier. What you do
Yes,
is not really
very true.
right. It seems like it's one thing, but
Hmm.
there's something really powerful underneath it, and that
Yes.
people who have their doctorates in this kind of
Mm.
thing and they're breaking it that's so collegiate to
Yeah.
where way far beyond what you think it is. It's so much
Oh yeah.
deeper. I don't
Right.
think
And always after the fact, you always hear about things and you're just like, oh wow, that was actually much deeper than the fact. So this is one of the moments. So I will definitely look into it.
but also think that anyone else thought it was going to be this deep. Yeah,
That's a good point. Yes, because I've seen snippets of it where I've seen people talk about it where it's very deep, but because unfortunately I don't know the context of all the things because I don't follow them all. So, I hear even my girlfriend talks about it where she's like, "Oh, it's like this is like has much important connotation, but because I don't understand it, it doesn't seem as important to me because I don't know." So I have to definitely take a look at it because yes. And as this person said, Dream Hollywood Taste Star, yes, 100%. Kendrick is 100% straight power because he speaks in such a way that is just just monumental. It's just the way he just flows is just different.
yeah, and the level of intelligence
Yeah,
and overall,
yeah,
and again,
yeah.
winning is nothing to sneeze.
Right. I mean, yeah.
He won
Right,
a
right.
great.
Exactly,
That
yes.
I think is really interesting, and I think this touches on what we talked about earlier today about women and men. Like, for instance, women not being able to even have their own bank accounts until
Right.
1972, which is there was 12, and only
Yeah.
about 14, 16 years before I was born.
Right.
So, um, the question is, how do you evolve from centering men to decentering men?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's important to first talk about why women have been
Mm.
centering this entire time.
Well, because unfortunately, within human history and American history, just when in the context of us, women have been tethered to men. Women's value has always been tethered to men, as sad as that is, because, think about, just if you go back historically, a couple hundred years ago to, let's say, feudal times, right? Women's value were quite literally for enablement of blood ties. If you marry someone off, they automatically become an ally, right?
Mhm.
So it was quite literally how you viewed having more women as as babies. It meant that you could have more allies. So now it's changed, or I should say, once you fast forward a couple hundred years, then it was more so of you could have more dowries. Then it was in a different context now and today, um, or not really today, a couple hundred years ago when it's still, not sorry, 100 years ago, when women were still tethered to men due to societal non-acceptance, as you could say, of working class and everything have you. But women up until 1972 could not have bank accounts without a man's approval, a man's a write-off. So how do you say that a woman could be quote unquote independent when their value monetarily or economically is still tethered to that man, which is crazy.
So, so my question, my answer to this would be like, how do you evolve from centering men to decentering men? I think from an
Mm.
emotional standpoint, because there's a couple of things here. There's the
Yeah,
emotional standpoint, and then there's the actual historical standpoint of women have been
yeah,
taught to center men's emotions, what men want, because we
yeah,
were of service to men for so long, and that's what we were put here for.
right.
Marriage in itself was a contract of ownership where men owned the woman, and that's how
Hmm.
legal marriage started in this country or in Europe or whatever. This is how this actually started. So a lot of
Yeah.
everything that we've been taught, our grandmothers were taught. We talked about this earlier, how like my grandmother, I realized just recently, like my grandmother, she had never had her own bank account. She never had these
Yeah.
things, and everything belonged to my grandfather, which is why all these years later at 94, everything's
Yep.
still in his name, even though he's been dead since the early 80s.
Right.
Because she doesn't know how to take his name off of anything. Like it's
Mm.
his house still. She still calls it his
Yeah.
house. You
Right.
know, I would answer this question this way for women. I want to. What I would always ask myself, and this is a thing that I had to do, is realize that most of the issues that I had in my life were tied to men, whether it's
Mm.
just patriarchal construct, whether it's an individual man, or
Mm.
just like men and the rules that men have made in general.
Yeah.
And that every problem I ever had in my life that seemed so insurmountable, that was so detrimental to my health and well-being, was either created by or perpetuated by men. When
Mm.
I decentered men, I stopped giving a shit what they thought, what they wanted.
Yeah.
Don't give a shit what a man wants at all. I could give
Mm.
two fucks what you want. I also don't give a shit what you need. I don't give a shit what you think. I don't give a shit what you have to say half the time. If none of that has anything, especially if it has to do with me, like I don't need you to mansplain no shit to me. Like, don't
Yeah.
say nothing to me at all.
Yes.
I've gotten to the point with men where I don't want them to talk to me.
Mm.
I feel like men have had enough time talking because most men aren't saying anything. They're not saying anything of any
Yeah.
worth. They're not
Of any
adding any worth
value.
to no value.
Yes.
You're giving, and that's the thing that I think there's this switch where, oh, wait, there's a time like men are inconsequential to me now that I'm 45, I'm older and I'm more settled in my womanhood and also in my self-sufficiency, realizing that men are bringing zero value to my life.
Mm.
There's nothing that a man can bring to me that I don't already have or can't give to myself. Once I learn how to love myself more than anybody else, you can't give me enough love to where I feel like this is that I need any of this. I have all of
Correct.
that already.
And I think that's
Men have
the part of the point too, is that it's not a matter of need, it's a matter of want.
want.
You see, it's
Exactly.
we should be able to be self-sufficient in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
because think about it like this: in a mental health aspect, if you are alone and you are unokay, then
Yeah.
that means you can't be okay with someone else, because that just means that the other person is a
Mm-hmm.
distraction of yourself.
Right.
So you have to be okay with yourself before you can be okay with someone else.
And that talks about that isolation slash what I call it incubation
Yeah.
of taking that time to be with
Yeah.
you, not by yourself, but with yourself, and
Yeah.
learning
Exactly.
that once you learn how to give yourself all the things that you give other people, so all the time, energy, consideration, love, and care you give to other people, if you just try it. I was completely alone for, I think, during the pandemic, that entire time.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to be, but I chose to sequester myself for, it was almost 3 years of not even having physical contact with another human being that didn't come outside of my body, like
Right.
somebody that I didn't give birth to.
Right.
But sequestering
Right.
myself, even from my partner, and saying, I need this time by myself. This is a perfect time to be by myself, to figure out some things for myself, and
Mm.
to then be with myself, like to really be with myself. I decided then all these little things that I give other people, this
Yeah.
consideration, the care, the
Yeah.
understanding. How many
Yes.
times does somebody do you wrong and you say, that's okay, I understand, it's
Right.
fine.
It's
But then
not a
when you
matter of
do something,
understanding.
right, but then when you do something that you know maybe you shouldn't have done for yourself, you're so hard on yourself.
Yep.
Why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. I
Yep.
wasn't giving myself that same, it's okay, it's fine. I wasn't giving that to myself.
We're
So then what
so
happened over
hard on
time,
ourselves.
right?
Yep.
So then what happened over time is that when I started giving myself
Yep.
all the things I gave away,
Yep.
men have made themselves inconsequential, men have made themselves unnecessary. And
No,
most
I
men don't
so
know how to make themselves wanted now that they're no
I would
longer needed.
only disagree in one sentiment of that. Well, yes, I
Mm-hmm.
agree with that part.
Mm-hmm.
The only part I would say, I wouldn't say that men have made us inconsequential. I would say that the societal oppression of white supremacy in the way in which it has been inflicted to us within our specific demographic when it comes to the viewage of when you look at the Jim Crow era with the new Negro, transferring that energy, right, to the civil rights movement, and then transferring that to the energy of the movement of the, uh, oh my God, the, the, the 80s, 90s, right, which was that grunge and refutal era. Then at that point, it's not it's not the men's fault. Well, yes, it's partially of not our ownership of the things that are being done to us and on maybe not
Mm-hmm.
accepting this because quite literally we've been silenced for about 50 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Men have just quite literally just been taking the brunt of the energy. And
Mm.
so we have been told you have to be hard, you have to be stoic, you have to be, you have to be this big man. When unfortunately, we are all breaking inside. We are quite literally at our breaking point, and because we're being so hard all the time, we are not acknowledging that we cry, that we feel, and because of that, we're just doing and doing and doing, and it's difficult to really put that energy out there for an understanding, for us to really understand that it's like we are just trudging along. And trudging, I think, is the best word in this context because trudging is a very specific word where it's you are moving, but it's just unimaginably slower than you would want it to be because it's like swamp-like. It's like you are every step you take, it's a drag, and when you finally get that foot out to then sink it again, it's difficult because we've been yes, we have not been taught to heal because unfortunately the demographic has shown us that we have to just do and we just have to do. And unfortunately we've been doing, but we haven't been healed. We haven't been seen. And it's difficult. And, we just have to figure out a way to be able to share, but at the same time, when we share, we have to have it not blown back at us. A lot of the things that I see when it comes to our demographic is that when we share, the women tend to use that share as a negativity when they're angry. And it's hard to take that because when you say, share with us, be vulnerable, and then we do that, you cannot you can't just you can't throw it back at us because that's not love, and it's difficult to weave that tapestry.
Mm.
It's hard, but we're working on it, I can promise you that.
Yeah, that's insane. There's a lot to think about and talk about, and I can't wait until we're able to do this in a more extensive
Yeah,
forum and a different time. But I really appreciate you stopping in.
yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah,
so much to unpack, and it's such a huge topic that it cannot be done in just like a 5-minute segment, 10-minute segment, or
yeah,
even an evening.
yeah,
That's a series or whatever have you. We are men walking around just taking batter and bruise from every single, whatever have you. But it's also the juxtaposition is that women are doing the same thing and just moving along too. We cannot say that it's only men. It's both sides
it's
of the
both.
coin. And not only that, but because both sides of the coin are taking this brunt, we're also not talking to each other and we're not communicating effectively. And that's part of the problem too, is that we as a demographic, we need to work on healing the bridge between our genders or sexes or whatever have you, whatever word you want to use. I really don't care right now, but it's just a matter of bridging the gap of our demographic and understanding that we have so much power when we work not only together but effectively. And so we just need to communicate better and just work together to really unite and understand that we can do so much more if we just not worry about these random labels that have not been that have not been brought from us, but given to us.
What I noticed on, and I'm going to let you go after this because I also have to go, but
Sure.
what I noticed on TikTok during you probably haven't seen it. Have you seen it? The man versus bear
I
debate?
have seen that, yeah.
Okay. What I've noticed is that, and some men have said it. This is how I've noticed it.
Mm,
Um, Women saying they'd rather choose a bear, which I would also just choose a bear. And I'm
yeah.
coming from a place where I have been brutalized, kidnapped, raped, beaten, spit
Mm,
on,
mm,
um, by men
yeah.
most of my life, from childhood into my adulthood. And all
Right.
of my intimate relationships have been abusive, every single last one of them until recently.
Right.
So, in one way or another, right? Verbally
Yeah.
or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think men are safe. I think men are
I
dangerous. I think men
agree.
are not to be trusted, especially not around me. I don't know what it's about. I don't know what I give off that says
Yeah.
punch me in the face, but
Oh,
I
dude.
literally it's but I know exactly what it is. It's a defiance and a strength, and I emasculate men very easily who are not grounded
Mm,
in their masculinity.
yeah. And that
Right.
goes to the independent, strong woman trope that
Yes.
doesn't truly exist. It's just men not being able to understand a
Hmm.
strong woman.
Right, which we brought back to the feminist movement of the late 60s, early
Yes.
70s, and how that drove Black women into working
Yeah. Yep.
for a
And
lot
not
less
being
than
in the
anybody
home.
else, not
Yep.
being in the home, them
And left out of
then
the New Deal.
yet left out of the New Deal, alienating the men, plus, of course, the jail system and the whole thing, that the way that's set up for Black men. So now we have these strong Black women that are all raising their families alone,
Yep.
but then we become angry Black
Yep.
women because, trope, because we are actually just exhausted. Like, we're
Yeah.
not angry, we are
Tired.
tired. And
Literally.
but then at the same time we're running the economy, which we don't really
Yeah.
realize. Like,
Right.
Black women run the US economy, period, hands down. We buy the
Literally the
most
bottom.
we buy the most crap,
Mm-hmm.
and not we buy the most crap. It's not land, it's not stocks, it's not bonds. We're not putting our money into investments, overall sweeping generalizations. We're buying more
Yes.
hair products, skin products,
Right.
cheap
Focusing on
clothing.
beauty instead of personal
Right.
development.
Because
Yeah.
Black women in America were told they weren't beautiful enough, and so you have to work really hard to, oh, your hair isn't right, so you have to wear this
Yes.
wig, or you have to
Right.
straighten it, you have to be at the beauty shop
Right.
every single week, you have to,
Beauty
all
is
these things that other women
tethered.
didn't, other
Yes.
women
Beauty
didn't get
is
that.
tethered to advancement.
Right, exactly. Where you have to
Yes.
sue your job because they told you you can't wear your
Right.
afro to work. It's unprofessional. And
Right.
so Black women are going through all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I forgot where I was going with this, where I even started, because it's so big of a concept
Yeah.
of how it all trickles down. I forgot even where I was going. It's so big. Oh, with the men. And so in a world where I don't feel safe,
Mm.
I I've had to fend for myself against unsafe men.
Yes.
I am I easily emasculate men because of my power. They don't have a place with me. They
Right.
can't overpower me emotionally.
Right.
Only physically they can do it,
Right.
and they can't usually overpower me financially, because I can take care of myself.
Right.
So they
Because
can't
you
control me
understand
in
your
any way.
worth and your place in the machine.
Right. So what I've learned on TikTok recently with the woman versus, or yeah, man versus bear debate,
Mm-hmm.
and some men started saying, the first initial reaction is men gaslighting women into thinking they were crazy for choosing the bear. So they
Right.
go back to the hysteria
Yep.
trope, like, you women are hysterical, this is crazy. But then men started saying, listen,
We are
the men are,
creative.
yes, but the men were saying, like, some men came out and finally said, instead of gaslighting the women into believing that their choice is wrong and not listening to their lived experiences, why don't you just say that your feelings are hurt?
Yes.
Why
That's what it
don't you,
is.
yeah,
Yeah. Because
say
they don't
that it
understand that
hurts
the
you?
men are creative in the way that they will destruct than the bear. The bear will just maim or and eat. That's it. Or nurture. Depends. It means, what I mean, the bear will literally go into one of three modes. It will be maim, kill, or nurture. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. A man or a perceived personification of a man will do one of a billion things.
Mhm.
You know, it can go from rape to torture, or it can
Right.
go somewhere anywhere in between, which is a
Mhm.
very drastic window. And people don't really, understand the depth of human depravity, unfortunately. I mean, we're seeing it everywhere right now, but it's just a matter of what are we willing to really to accept at what a man can do.
But
And
women now don't give a shit whether your feelings are hurt
right,
because we're tired, remember? And we've been
yes,
tired.
right.
And so now it feels like, yeah, okay, your feelings are hurt. So what? My feelings were hurt when I was kidnapped and raped at 13 years old by a man. There's a monitor lizard story. Have you heard this? About men
No,
who were in the woods together or wherever they were for some reason, who came upon a monitor lizard, had sex with it,
what?
killed it, and then ate it.
Wait, what?
Exactly.
They,
The women are
this,
exhausted.
wait, like a lizard?
A monitor lizard. You know those big big like things. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
yeah
yeah, yeah. Okay, I've heard of
yeah
them. I've never actually seen a picture of one. I'm gonna have to Google this because
yeah. So this is the story. It's a story
but
because I think the men were on social talking about it, like it was funny. So the
oh,
women are
that's
tired.
not
Women,
funny. That's weird as
yeah.
hell.
So the fact is that women, we know. So maybe okay. There's a lot. I don't know how. I don't know how we communicate with people that terrify us, because
Uh,
there's more of that than of the good guy. There's more of that than the guy that just is normal.
right,
There's more men telling you to show me your feet than they are the men saying, let's have a great conversation and
right.
take it slow. Like,
Yeah.
there's more men fucking monitor lizards on the internet than there are men just being
Right.
regular. Like,
I'm sorry, that's a hilarious statement of way. It's one of those things where it's like you don't ever think that you're gonna hear that sentence out loud, but
so now your feelings are hurt because we're terrified. Look at your
all right.
representatives. Look at your
Monitor lizard fucking 2024.
look at your representative. We are terrified.
What?
Men are terrifying. And they don't, and then so now the men that feel like, oh, and then the whole like I got my feelings hurt. So to your point, it's like, yeah, it would be great to be able to have conversations and open up communication, but I don't know whether you just fucked a monitor lizard yesterday. I don't know
Right.
what kind of creep you are. There are women who have gone out on dates. It happened just several weeks ago. A woman meets a man on Facebook dating, whatever, goes out with him on the first date. He murders her, chops her up. Men are murdering women at an F. Men are our number one predator.
Yeah. I mean, to
Men.
be fair, men are the number one predator on Earth, and then yeah, I don't
Yes.
think at this
So
point it matters what it
it
is.
doesn't matter what it is. Men are killing
Yeah,
everything. They've been
it's
killing
kind of bad.
everything since the
And when I say
beginning of
kind of
time.
bad, I mean it's
So
atrocious.
riddle me this.
Yeah.
Why would
What's
I
it
want
with
to have a
like killing
why am I
stuff?
having a conversation with you? Why am I listening to you and your hurt ass feelings? I don't give a shit if you're one of the good guys. I don't give a shit because everyone's a good guy until they're not. Why are we listening to
Mm.
as a group? Like, don't you
Yeah,
think
seriously.
that y'all have to get y'all shit together
I mean,
before you come to the table for a conversation? Just
look,
as
I'm
a
just gonna
general, just
say that out of all of the world's wars on Earth, I think 100% of them have been started by men.
all of that. All of that. You start all the wars, you do all the horrible things, you rape all the monitor lizards. Like,
You're
we
right. You're right.
we don't want to talk to you. We're actually done. We don't need you for
Right.
anything.
Right.
And then some men are like, yeah, how are you going to have your babies? First of all,
Right.
don't threaten us with children because now getting pregnant by men is that's not a prize. It's a threat.
Right. It's not
Because
right. Right.
that's not, that's good.
10 o'clock. Do you know where your monitor lizard fucker is?
Like, I don't want to, you know what I mean? Absolutely not. We're not
What?
interested in talking to you.
Yeah,
And
that
then
is
so what's sad is that in this conversation, the guys who aren't fucking monitor lizards,
right.
the guys who aren't raping women and cutting them up into millions of pieces, those guys are like, but I'm not like those guys.
Right.
But I can guarantee you this. there's a woman somewhere that hates your guts because you did
Right.
or said something that wasn't cool, that really showed that you weren't that good of a guy.
Right.
Men always say they're a good guy because it's two different experiences.
Yeah. Right. And it's also a matter of perception, and to be fair, we say a lot of dumb stuff, so you can't hold us to everything, but like like I can fully attest that I've said some dumb things in my day. But what I mean is that like our intention for a lot of things can be good, but a lot of people make it really bad and are bad. On behalf of men, sorry, but yeah,
But then there's
correct.
men. There are men who are like, "Hey, I understand why the women would choose the bear.
Oh no,
It
one hundred
makes actual
percent.
sense
No, it
because
makes
bears,
100% why the women would choose the bear because they know that that is a swift death. That is not rape. That is not
yeah,
penetration. That is nothing. That is just,
yeah,
you know what? I know it's going to happen. This bear is going to kill me and eat me.
done,
Done deal. Boom blouses.
done.
There is no in between. There is no weird shit. There is no prolonged
Yeah,
anything. There is no, oh, let me think of like 100 ways to keep you alive while I do weird stuff to your body for 150 days. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, it's so
I don't
true.
know.
It's so
Right.
true.
And and that's what I meant about the creativity thing. It's that men have the capacity for that ill creativity. A bear, as far as I know, does
Mhm.
not. And that's why women would choose
Right.
the bear. And if
Yes.
people don't understand that, I don't understand you.
There are also real videos of people scaring off bears. Just like, "Rawr, go away, bear," and the bear will like, "I'm out." You
Right,
know.
right. He said, I'm not, somebody said, I'm choosing a damn bear. I'm not traumatized. Clearly, you don't know about paralytics. Yeah, clearly you don't know about being paralyzed, but being fully awake for days.
This is true.
Yeah,
Um,
it is not a great time. Oh
yeah.
my God,
Just imagine just
science is
being
one
fully
hell of a,
aware of what's happening to your body and not being able to
right?
speak or
To
move
literally do, you are
or
a
fend off.
vegetable.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrifying. It's traumatic. There is no going back from something like that.
So in this case and in this scenario, I realized that yes, there are men who are having their feelings hurt because they're being lumped in with all of the not good guys, and there are a lot of
Yeah,
them. But
100%.
I also realized that inherently, um, I also realized that men who think they're good guys,
Most certainly are not.
they're not
Most
good
guys who
guys.
think they're good guys are just good guys until opportunity per chances.
Exactly. And that's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yes, it is.
And so much of that is coming from societal constructs and patriarchal constructs and all
100%.
these things that they're being taught.
Everything is a matter of opportunity. And that is all that is. And it's a terrible thing, but it's the truth. It's a truth. And that's men and women alike. Everything is a matter of quite literally price. And that is a terrible construct of thing, but that is a very specific human trait.
Mm.
And that's only something that a person with discipline and morality will overcome.
Someone just said like self-proclaimed good guys are not good guys at all. Right. I find that the people that say I'm a good guy, that's the
Right.
guy that's definitely not a good guy.
Correct. Yeah. If
Like
you have to say it out loud, then I'm sorry. No. That's just like, who are you trying to convince? You or me? Like, wait, hold up. What?
or the cops.
Uh,
Who are you trying to convince?
right.
Me, you, or the cops? So like,
Right. That's like
right.
saying I'm not a cop. You sure? Like,
I'm
wait,
not
what?
a
Why would you say that if you're not a cop? Wait, what?
That's a weird thing to just say at a party. Why'd you just say
Right.
that?
What do you mean? Like, what? Right.
Oh my
Humanity.
god. Abdul, thank you so much. I'm gonna actually get out of here
Sure.
and rest myself.
Sure.
It's already past my bedtime. I'm supposed to be in bed 2 hours ago.
Oh,
So
hilarious. It's only 11:30 for me.
yeah, see, nah, I go to bed early. But let me get out of here and do that. Let's catch up tomorrow
Yeah,
and continue our conversation from earlier
indeed.
today. on the
Indeed.
points that we left off on and talk
Yes.
about, our project more.
Sure. For sure.
All right,
Have a
Abdul, thanks so
wonderful
much.
evening.
You
Indeed.
too.
Cheers.
I'll talk to you
Bye
soon.
bye.
Bye. All right. Um, Thank you guys for hanging in there while we talked about that stuff. I saw that we lost a bunch of people because when you start talking smart, people like to like get out. Mm, it is late. I finished my drink about an hour and a half ago. I do have to go. I am going to Vamos. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that conversation. I do want to talk to Abdul more on this public forum and kind of um, find out more of the audience's reaction to some of the things that we are together writing about and see kind of gauge what you guys feel about those things in the near future. So that was a nice little pop up though. Um, I still gotta clean. The doors are all open. Like it's really insane. I always stay on too long, far longer than I ever expected. But I'm glad you enjoyed Abdul Tubman and look forward to seeing him again soon. All right, guys, it's time for me to take a gummy and try to clean up a little bit before I head out. I still have minis to put away. Have a great night, guys. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Bye.